In today's video, we have to discuss where all of this is leading. The overall purpose of these videos is for me to explain to you exactly how the universe is created using mathematical information encoded into waves of time, and what that ultimately means. The closest analogy I can come up with is to compare the universe to a simulated world like the ones you experience in a computer game, where everything you see and interact with is simply a virtual construct, generated using mathematical information in the form of a binary code of ones and zeros. But it is important to note that I am not saying that our universe is exactly like a computer game, or that we are all living inside some external alien or deity's computer. Instead, it would be more accurate to say that the virtual worlds we see on our computers are mimicking the actual universe. Hence, the universe is not like a computer game, but rather computer games are like the universe. Art is imitating life, only not as advanced. There is no outside the universe. We're not being stored on a hard drive. Our universe is being generated using mathematical information encoded into waves of time. This information cannot be created or destroyed. The universe is eternal, but we humans experience time in cycles relative to us. Unlike the virtual worlds we see on computers, which are all generated using only 2 bits of information in the form of ones and zeros, our universe is far more complex and is encoded using 10 bits, which we have labeled or quantified using the numbers 0 to 9. This part is crucial. When I say that the universe is being generated using mathematical information, I do not mean the universe is literally being created using a string of numbers. The numbers 0 to 9 simply represent underlying quantized packages of information. This information comes in 10 different states, which we have labeled 0 to 9. If you compare this concept to our virtual worlds on a computer screen, those worlds are also not literally created using ones and zeros either. The ones and zeros in a binary code represent the presence or absence of an electrical current or on and off states, which allow computers to store and process information. 0 means no electrical current or off, and 1 means electrical current or on. Hence, the ones and zeros are used to represent 2 different states. In my model, we have 10 different states which produce far greater complexity. 0 is no information, and the numbers 1 to 9 represent 9 different states or values. That is why objects in our universe have so much more complexity, with characteristics like smell, texture, taste, and so on. This 10-bit information system manifests as a wave of time and comes in pairs of numbers that are mathematically bound together across the nucleus of a circle, which is in fact what creates what we call the fundamental forces of nature. For example, gravity and electromagnetism. I will circle back to this in the next video. I have to go off on a tangent here and explain how what we call the fundamental forces of nature are not really physical forces that exist in space, but are only programmed forces being mathematically generated. Is that even possible? Can our fundamental forces like gravity and electromagnetism simply be the result of advanced programming? Look at this following example of a computer-generated world. This is from an old game I used to play. The forces and effects in modern games are far more realistic. In a computer-generated world, we can simulate fire, water, wind, gravity, smoke, and even electricity. There is no real fire coming from this character's hands, and he is not generating a real force. And yet he causes the other character to explode without physically touching him. His computer-generated virtual force has a direct effect on the other character who also only exists in this same simulated world. That is the key. The forces being generated appear to be real, and they have an effect on the other character because they all exist in the same virtual realm. They are all made from the same underlying code. And that is how our universe works. The fundamental forces like electromagnetism and gravity appear to be real to us, and they affect us because we all exist in the same universe, created from the same underlying code. The universe appears to be real. Now we come to the crux of this video. The word real. What does it mean to say something is real? Some people don't like the simulation theory because it implies that we are not real. But remember, for the unfortunate character in our earlier video game example, the forces that were computer-generated were real, and they physically destroyed him. So what does it mean to say that that example is only a video game, but our universe is real? People tend to believe that the universe is a solid physical entity that is somehow floating in space like a giant balloon, and that if they can physically touch and interact with objects or forces inside this giant balloon, then that object or force must be real because it physically exists. You should know that this is not even the view of mainstream science today. Scientists know that on a subatomic scale, there are no physical particles floating around, and that everything on the subatomic level seems to be made out of energy or electromagnetic fields. They cannot show you what an electron physically looks like because an electron is simply an electrical charge inside a probability field. The best way they can define an electron is with a mathematical equation. So if you think that saying something is real means that it physically exists in space and you can touch it or interact with it, that definition is totally outdated. Everything is made out of atoms. When scientists study atoms, they find that atoms themselves are mostly empty space and fields of vibrating energy with either neutral, positive, or negative charge. So what is real? If I generated a virtual world on a computer, and inside this world, I simulated a fire made out of coded information, and then I generated a piece of wood that can be burnt to ashes by that virtual fire, is the fire real to the piece of wood in that virtual world? I would say the answer is yes, because the wood is programmed to react to the fire. If objects or forces can interact with each other inside a closed system, even if that system is virtual, then those objects are real to each other inside that simulated universe. That is the basis of the universe we are living in. Objects and forces appear to be real to us because we are generated from the same underlying code. We are not external observers studying the universe. We are subjective entities that have emerged from the same source as the objects around us. My aim is to show you how this could be possible and what this mathematical and somewhat divinely inspired cosmology ultimately means. Earlier I mentioned that we live in a 10-bit universe in which those bits are paired into bonds which generate the fundamental forces. Those bonds come in these pairs: 1 plus 9, 2 plus 8, 3 plus 7, 6 plus 4, and 5 plus 5. As you can see, the pairs all add up to 10 and are mathematically bound across the nucleus of the Fibonacci clock. Then we have 0, which represents off or no force. Therefore, similar to our computer-generated worlds, which use binary codes of 1s and 0s, our universe uses 0s and sets of 10, manifesting as circular patterns of information encoded into waves of time. Hence, it is not a simple case of on or off, but rather on or off, where on has multiple layers of complexity. In this way, an object can not only exist, but it can also exhibit various characteristics. For example, it can have texture, smell, taste, It can even decay over time and can appear to be far more physically real when compared to the virtual objects in our computer-generated worlds. I will stop this video here. I don't want to make these videos too long as they are packed with concepts that need to be slowly digested in quantized packages. Go and think about all of it. Study virtual worlds on a computer and ask yourself, is it possible that we are also fundamentally only made out of complex coded information? Is that the basis of our reality? If it helps you, many highly educated scientists are now saying that we are. They just don't know the how. Many of them imagine we are living inside some external entity's computer, like in the Matrix movies. But that doesn't really answer anything. Because where did those external entities come from? And what is outside their world? And so on into infinity. I, for one, need better answers than that. In future videos, I will continue to explain how the universe manifests out of eternal mathematical information. I have practical, rational answers to some of life's deepest questions. My main challenge is to reconcile this information-based model of the universe to the standard model used in physics. I am working on that. Please click like and share. Also remember to subscribe so you can stay connected. And watch all the other videos in this series. They are all interconnected and all contain a piece of the bigger picture. See you soon.